What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Modern Creative Podcast. It is I, Alberto. How are you doing? I am well. Thank you for asking. What's going on, guys? I feel like it's been a minute since I've done a solo pod, so we got one going on right now. I'm filming on a Saturday, which is a little strange for me. I usually tend to take weekends off. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's been working out for me as far as having those 2 days of Saturday and Sunday completely off and not think of work unless there's something that I need to really do. Then of course I'll work on weekends, but I usually try to keep it free of work, just to hang out, clear my mind, like I said, work out and stuff like that, sipping on some iced coffee as we speak. I have a soccer game right after this to play, or should I say football for all my international listeners. Man, it sounds pretty cool to say that. But yeah, as far as life updates, been working a ton, man. I've been dedicating so much time to this podcast that my actual work crept up on me. So I thought I had a good wiggle room as far as like, all right, I could hold off on those edits or whatever and just focus on the podcast. And I'm learning right now. I'm going through a moment of growth as far as trying to balance work and podcast. So yeah, I'm trying to get these podcasts done ahead of time so I don't have to be rushed like I was in the last couple of weeks. I have a few guests lined up that I'm very excited to shoot. I'm trying to line those up and film those and have those edited and ready to go before I take off to my trip, which I'll be gone for 3 weeks. But I'm planning to continue dropping podcasts while I'm gone. So you could expect podcasts in the near future. No breaks over here, guys. But yeah, like I said, I'm trying to find a balance as far as like the podcasting and the work. And so I've been grinding the last 3 days of just client work, ton of editing. It's so funny because like out of nowhere, I got the responses as far as like I got all my notes, feedback that I needed for the revisions all at the same time for like multiple projects. So I'm like, great, now I need to freaking get these done ASAP. So got a lot done yesterday, and then after that, we went to down in San Diego in Mission Bay specifically to hang out with some fellow creatives such as Mar and Stormy, who were a guest in the podcast. We were able to get a good volleyball session going at the beach. It was a beautiful sunset. Hung out, met some other people out there. It was just very fun. So hopefully we get to do that more often, especially since it's getting a little warmer now. We're in springtime. Still slightly chilly. We're talking about 50, 60 degrees, which is nothing compared to like the colder countries out there or colder regions in the world. But yeah, yesterday was very fun, hanging out with some friends, having some good drinks, bonding, I guess. And now we're here. Kristen's running a few errands right now. And so I'm like, hey, let's take advantage of the situation of this time and let's record a solo podder. Now we are here. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode and let's talk about my experiences on going viral. And yes, I'm going to say viral because in my opinion, I think I went viral for a specific niche of the internet space. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So for those that don't know, and for all the new listeners now, appreciate you guys being here. But yeah, one of my podcast episodes with Adrian, which dropped a couple of weeks ago, one of those micro clips went pretty viral in regards to him talking about the 5D Mark III selling for $400, 400-ish. And you could get a pretty good lens or two lenses for under $1,500 as a beginner with this beast of a camera. So that specific clip went pretty nuts. It all started on TikTok, but before we go to the actual upload, initially I was catching myself being a little lazy in regards to posting every single day. So I went from posting 7 days a week, but I noticed on the weekends the numbers were just not slapping. So I decided to hold off on posting on weekends as far as like Instagram, TikTok, and Shorts. And so I'm just gonna focus Monday through Friday because Monday through Friday is where I really saw like people engaging and whatnot. So I think this was probably a Friday, and I kind of forgot to post the last reel for that specific episode on all the socials. And I was like, oh crap, I need to make one more reel. So I created it, and then I posted it. I posted it on Instagram, and then Kristen also posted it on TikTok. And all of a sudden, the TikTok one went crazy. Like, it went crazy. So as of right now, Let me let you know what these numbers are. I don't even have the app, so I had to like literally go on Safari and type in my name and TikTok. But as of right now on TikTok, it currently has 676,000 views, almost at 750,000. That's pretty nuts. And it has 35,000 likes, 845 comments, and we haven't responded to any of the comments because it's just too much to keep up, and 1,037 reshares. Whew, that was insane. So that TikTok video went nuts, as well as the actual following itself. At the time, we probably had around 500 or 700 followers, and now we're currently at 3,430 follows. And this clip was posted probably like 4 or 5 days ago. So pretty insane. So the same video on Instagram, it also went pretty nuts as well. Not sure how exactly that happened, but it kind of slowly trickled down the following day. I woke up and noticed like so many freaking notifications on that specific page. And it currently sits at 95,000 views, 2,767 likes, 92 comments, 564 shares, and 1,101 saves. That's pretty insane. And as far as like the account reach for like the non-followers, it went to 91,774 different accounts. That's pretty insane. And like I said, this was posted about a few days ago, less than a week for sure. And that specific page, the Modern Creative Podcast Instagram, it had around, I want to say 110, between 110 and 150, not exactly sure the exact number, but that freaking page also sort of blew up. So now my following count for that page is currently at 505 followers, which is pretty nuts. Like I gained well over 350 followers or 400 followers in a span of 3 days. Damn. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. Every time I refresh the page, I get another 50 to 60 likes on that same exact clip, and it's slowly trickling down to followers, and they're engaging on other past content reels. So yeah, it's been pretty cool having fresh new eyeballs. Out of all those accounts that I've reached on that specific piece of content, I've had about 400 new followers, which is pretty cool. They thought it was worth the follow button since they saw a catalog of work, and it's something I've always heard in the past about going viral. So most creatives do want to go viral, of course, because you want to get fresh set of eyes, and they could potentially lead to business or brand deals and whatnot. But they've always said, like, at least the big people that I've listened to in podcasts or YouTube, they always say, like, what if your post does go viral? Then what? Do you have enough material for them to hit that follow button? Or you just have that one piece of content that goes viral and then nothing else to show for? So I've been lucky enough to have a pretty decent catalog as far as like my Instagram, where you see that specific video, check my page out, and you see weeks upon weeks upon weeks of other micro content I've created from previous episodes. So I'm glad that I was disciplined enough to create those pieces of content, post them daily. So now I have something to show for. So in case someone does see that specific piece of content and they're like intrigued enough to check out my profile and see, oh wow, this guy has plenty of solid material, you know what? It's worth hitting the follow button. So that's cool, man. I really appreciate everyone that's been following the journey. This didn't happen on accident, but there is a little bit of luck. There's always a little bit of luck when it comes to success. But I always say, if you're not prepared for that specific luck, then it's never gonna happen. So I worked for this, so it's I'm not gonna say it's an accident. I've been putting in the freaking repetitions. I know we haven't even hit 20 freaking episodes yet, but I feel like the quality of the show, the quality of the visuals, the good material that I've been posting, and the good material that my guests have been freaking spitting, it's all colliding, and it's finally meshing together, and people are starting to recognize that, hey, we got something going on right here. So like I said, I have plenty of other fire guests in the near future that I'm going to record, and I'm excited for you guys to hear and listen, because they're all dropping gems, man. That's one of the reasons why I'm just not interviewing anyone with a camera. The people that I want to bring into the podcast is I want them to give some sort of value for you. It's not just for me, it's for all of you guys. So I want you guys to learn from these, either like mistakes or business tips or the mindset or just even camera tricks or gear, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm very excited for this podcast. It gave me an extra push of motivation. I was already motivated enough, and just hearing feedback from like fellow colleagues are like, dude, your podcast is dope, man. Like, you got something going on. You should continue doing, even if they're not even from the camera space or the creative space, they're just telling me like, hey dude, you got something going on right now, man. Like, keep pushing it. Even like I said, the people that are telling me this, they're pretty much saying like, hey, I don't even care about camera stuff, but just like hearing you guys' conversation is just motivating enough. And yeah, I'm super cool with that. So other than that, I'm truly enjoying creating these podcasts, even though it does take a ton of time, especially the last few weeks. I've been just going ham with trying to produce these podcasts. I'm actually thinking about outsourcing the editing. So if any of you guys are interested, feel free to reach out to me if you guys want. But I think I'm going to outsource the editing because it just takes a little bit too much time on my end, where I could be focusing on, of course, my actual work that pays the bills, and focusing on producing the podcast, focusing on doing the admin work as far as trying to figure out a schedule to produce content or produce the podcast with the future guests. And so, yeah, my friend brought that idea to me yesterday. I don't know why I never thought about it. I just never thought about investing money into the podcast when I know that for sure there isn't a return as far as capital, as far as money, I guess. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I'm having fun. Like I said, I just like doing all this, man. It's super fun. It's easy for me, but it does take time. And as far as like the quality that I want it to be, it does take a little bit more extra time. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to keep pumping the podcast out for you guys. Other than that, just changing things up a little bit. There's a lot of hype right now with the new Sony camera that just dropped this week. And it is, for those that are interested, it is called the Sony ZV-E1. These freaking names are ridiculous, man. But anyways, essentially it's a new mirrorless camera that just dropped. Sony does a really good job with creating a camera for literally anybody. So depending on what budget you have, there is a specific camera for you. If you have a budget of $300, there is a camera for you. If you have a budget of $1,000, there is a camera for you. $1,200, $2,000, $2,500, $6,000. They just have it all for anyone that's needing a camera. It's pretty funny how they do that. But other than that, this specific camera, I think I'm gonna start doing some light reviews on camera gear. So I want to kind of do that from here on out. So this one just dropped. It's a 12 megapixel camera. From what I understand, it is pretty much a sports car in a Honda Civic body. And what I mean by that is that it has the exact same sensor as this camera, which is the A7S III, and the Sony FX3, which shoots 4K 422 10-bit, 4K 60, 4K 120 frames per second. And this specific EV110, what the hell is it called? The ZV-E1. And apparently this camera has a ton of pretty neat features as far as like AI autofocus. Stabilization is pretty much amazing. And one of the big red flags about this specific camera is the overheating aspect, because it's pretty much I'm only going to compare it to whatever cameras I do have, which is a 6300. It looks like a juiced up 6300 body. You'll see it here on the screen anyways. And yeah, I mean, like, again, so much power for such a small body camera without a fan. It's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion, especially for long shooting. If you're doing wedding filmmaking, you're shooting outside. Southern California gets pretty hot in the summer. We're talking about like 75 to 80 degrees. And when that sun hits the freaking camera, you're more likely to have some overheating problems, which you do not want that to happen, especially in a very crucial part of a wedding. Like, for example, the first kiss. You don't want the camera to shut off on you at the first kiss. So who is this camera for? I think this camera is more for vloggers and I'd say travel filmmakers. It does come up with a hefty price of, I believe it's $2,200, which is yikes. So it's like, what do you get? The FX30 that just dropped like a month or two ago for like $400 less, or a full frame $2,200 camera that it pretty much does the exact same thing as the A7S and the FX3. So again, I wouldn't recommend this as a documentary filmmaker or a wedding filmmaker, because it's just that overheating issue is a big issue. And again, I thank God for me, like with these cameras, I never have to deal with overheating. Like you really have to forcefully try to overheat this camera, which again, I've never really seen that happen. It has never happened to me. Even with the A7 III, I've never had overheating issues. I know some people may have had experiences with that, but I just haven't. And yeah, I put my cameras through the mud as far as like rough conditions. So it's been holding strong. Definitely not for me. If I do get a camera, like I told you in the previous episodes, I'd like to potentially get the FX6, which is a cinema line. With that paired with the A7S III as a B camera would be money. So yeah, I mean, there's that. Do some research, guys, as far as like which camera you guys want to get. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me. That's the fastest way to reach me, and I will respond to you guys. I love having these kind of conversations, man, with like creatives, people that are fan of the podcast. They'll send me DMs, either voice message or just regular text DM, and it's really cool just connecting with you guys right there. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. For all the new listeners on YouTube, hit the subscribe on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever platform is your favorite platform to consume this podcast. And yeah, we will catch you guys later. Peace.